with another video for you, and this is another custom for Thomas, that he also is so graciously allowing me to post publicly on my channel, so all of you can enjoy it as well. Okay, so this is going to be another beloved whisper ramble video, a classic Emily Marie ASMR trigger. And I picked out some of my books here to kind of ramble about, because Thomas, in my last live stream, I need to fix my chair. Thomas, in my last live stream, was interested in, I mentioned one specific book, my favorite book, a couple of times in the live stream, Mordacious, which I did incorrectly, I did mispronounce, and in the video where I read the book, I mispronounced the title, which I was thinking I was, but I didn't think about looking it up to see how it was pronounced. My bad. But yeah, so sorry, my words are all over the place, typical. He wanted me to kind of go into my book collection a little bit and just ramble about a select few of them, since I do have not a lot, but a decent amount of books, because I just got started into like collecting books, and I got started into reading last summer. So I read my books on Kindle Unlimited, and then just because it's really easy to, like, if I'm not liking a book, to just kind of drop it and go to a different book. And then there's some of them that I really enjoyed so much that I wanted physical copies of them so that I could go back and reread them, because on Kindle Unlimited you can only borrow 10 books at once, so it's kind of like a pain when you have so many books that you want to either reread parts of or reread the whole thing of, and you can't keep it in your library. So I have them on physical copies, so I can do that. So I've read about over 300 books in the past year, which is way too many books, way too many, but that's all I do all day, is read. And I go to online school, so I have like time during my day to read as well, so all day I read. But yeah, so all the books I have are like my favorite out of like 300 books. And I have 8 books sitting here with me to kind of ramble over out of my physical copy ones. I don't remember all of these super well because I have read over 300 books, so I don't remember all of these as well as I remember Mordacious, and that's just because that was my favorite book, so of course I remember it pretty well. Plus I had my mom read it, and she read it a lot slower than me, because I read it like in a couple days, all 3 books. She read it within like 3 weeks or so. So for like 3 weeks I was having like straight discussions about it with her every day, so it really stuck in my head. But not all of these did. But I'm going to talk about and try to remember parts of them and stuff, and kind of just go over the blurb, just what I remember, things like that. I'm also speaking in a slightly different volume or tone or whatever than I have been in the past couple of videos, so let me know if you like this volume, speech, or tone better than, say, my last video, which is, this is a bit more soft-spoken, but it's just a bit easier to, like, with this particular video, to speak in a soft-spoken. Okay, so sorry for that 5-minute like ramble or whatever. I'm gonna turn on my fan real quick, it's freaking hot in here. Okay, so the first book I have, also sorry for any mispronunciations. I was gonna say it can't be helped. It definitely can be helped, but I'm not gonna do anything about it. So, and the reason I say this, I already know I'm gonna mispronounce the author's last name. So this book is a standalone book in a series. Like there's this, it's called Broken, book 1, and then the next 2 books are about 2 other characters. So and then there's like a novella after that about a different character. So this is the only book about the character in this book. Okay, so I'm gonna just start with the blurb. This book right here, you can see my oily fingerprints all over it. I don't have nails on, so I can't really tap or anything like that. Do some fingertip tapping. Okay. I filmed the last video. My phone almost died. I charged it for a while, and I ate and stuff. It's been like an hour or 2 since I filmed that video. Just not got a notification that my phone's at 20%. So, yeah, anyway, I don't know why I'm like being so weird. Okay, also all of my books are all in like some part romance. That's my cup of tea, that's my guilty pleasure. Don't freaking judge me. It's just, I like what I like. And they're all romance, but I kind of branch out into like a bunch of different subgenres, which you'll kind of see when we're going through these. Okay, so Mama didn't come home, Daddy liked to hit, brothers followed suit, so I ran from that life, I ran from myself, I ran into him. I have no experience with the game board we're playing on, and that makes this a lethal game. One wrong move and my heart could land in the fire he's created inside me. Worse, it could lead the past to his doorstep, and it won't just be my blood that taints this floor. I should run. I need to run. My father is the devil in a flesh suit. He won't be happy until he paints this town red for my betrayal. I should run. I need to run. Because despite my feelings for Parker Hayes, the devil is coming and he wants what's his. I forgot to mention the author's name, which is Ellie. I'm gonna butcher this, so I'm not even gonna try. Messe. I don't know how to pronounce that. This is just the cover. It's kind of simplistic. Most Kindle Unlimited books aren't some like fancy looking books. Try not to curse. I don't know why I want to curse so bad all the time. This book is 733 pages, but honestly I'd probably say it's like 100 or 2 pages less than that, just because this is a bit smaller size than most books. I think this is about the standard size for like height for all of my books, so it's quite a bit shorter, and then it's not as thick or like long. I don't know what word. You can see it's quite a deal shorter, and the words don't take up as much of the page. Do you see how much? Like there's like an inch in between, and the words aren't small, but they're definitely a tad bit bigger than say Mordacious. Can I easily? I don't want to ruin that. It's a tad bit bigger font than this, so I would give this probably, like, honestly, it's probably about 500 to 600 pages rather than the 700 it's printed on, since it's just like it takes up about this much, like just a small portion in this book. That made sense. Yeah, so this is a standalone novel. Trying to think what to say, but I don't want to take too long since I do have a few books here. Oh yeah, so okay, her dad is like a mob boss type thing in the mafia, something like that. I don't remember, besides the fact that he's a criminal with connections. He's really abusive. Her brothers, except for one of them who left when he was 16, so left her there. Her brothers were really abusive. Her mom also left. I don't remember when. Yeah, she has like a whole, I think it's her left arm is completely filled from like top to wrist, like pure scars from like burns, cuts, just nasty shit. I don't know, like some of y'all, just me saying that bothers you, sorry. Yes, like that's kind of a thing that like she always wears long sleeves to hide it, something that like till pretty much the end of the book is like a big insecurity of hers, which of course it would be. She starts working at this bar, Heat. Underage, they know she's underage, but nobody like says it. They like pay her under the table. Her best friend is Drew, who is a bartender there, along with her. And then there's like a few people that become like Drew and like his family, and they're like really like her family, become her family. And Parker is Drew's brother, who shows up like pretty much right away in the book. Like I don't remember exactly, but he'd been away for like a while, so they'd never met. And then yeah, he shows up, and it's kind of like they're like friends at first, but not like how she's friends with Drew. Yeah, and at some point they obviously end up getting together. And just like a lot of stuff kind of goes on in this book of her just having a hard time dealing with her past, which is leaking into her present. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's not the best book, but I think it's pretty good. It's just because Haley, I don't even know if I said the main character's name. Her name's Haley. She's a bit immature, but she is, I think, 18. And with her like upbringing, I feel like you can either be like really mature and like, or like really immature. It just kind of can go both ways. Like pretty much no matter what your mental state's not exactly normal. But I feel like I remember her like some of her actions being like a bit immature. I don't know if that's just, I don't remember if that's exactly how she is or it's just like out of fear. It doesn't make any sense. But yeah, so there's that first book. And then I'm not going to go too much into this one because I have a whole video reading 2 of the first chapters in this book. It's almost an hour long. It's like 50 something minutes. So if you like just having like whispering or something in the background, I whisper in that video, it's not soft spoken. And yeah, I just read the first 2 chapters of this. Silver Rossi has the whole loner thing down pat, with the exception of her best friend Grace. I don't know why, like the second I start reading I can't breathe. When the 2 are trapped in a hospital during the last gasp of a dying city, alone time is no longer an option. A nurse's offer of sanctuary promises Sylvie the supply she needs to survive the zombie apocalypse. It's the coexisting with people that might do her in. Eric Forrest will do whatever it takes to get into the dead city for his sister, including ending up dead himself. He's used to taking risks, but with every mile he travels, death looks likelier and likelier, and finding his sister may be his only last prospect for survival, if he can make it home. Sylvie doesn't need more food, water, and shelter. Eric only wants to find his sister, but sometimes what we think we need isn't what we need at all, and what we find is more than we expected. And this is by Sarah Leon Fleming. It's a zombie apocalypse novel. I'm not gonna gush about it too much, guys, I promise. But it's just so well written. You fall in love with like every single character practically, and this author's not afraid to kill people off, which I like. It's really, because it just makes the book more of like a roller coaster emotional experience, I guess. Yeah, she's not afraid to kill people. It's just so good. Sylvie is such a like good character, I guess, and Eric is such a good match for her because she is such like a cynic for a good portion of the series, and Eric really helps like counteract that, along with her best friend Grace, who was very like trying to think of what she called her, like just kind of like a Mother Earth type person. Does that make any sense? But she's very like, look on the bright side. I really relate to Sylvie. I really like her. I really like the series. If you are a reader, I highly recommend it. Like the world building, the character building, character development, everything in this book and then this series. It's a 3-book series. It's just so good. The first 2 books, let me check. Yeah, their first 2 books I think like 500 something pages, and the 3rd book is 800 something. Just so good. Okay. This book right here is definitely a bit of probably an acquired taste type book. I tried to get my mom into it, but she didn't quite like it. I think she read the first one and that's it. There's currently 3 books in the series, and I believe a 4th one's out for pre-order now. This is The Wasteland, their Champion Book 1 by K.A. Knight. This is also like a post-apocalypse novel. This is when apocalypse first hits and then like learning to exist in the new world. This is like, it's been the apocalypse like probably 10 or 15 years or something like that. So post-apocalyptic. The world ended with it, and so did the rules. I was stolen from my family and raised in the wastelands to the north. I did what I had to ensure my survival. I became the champion with my history carved into my skin for all to see. Now I spend my days drinking and hiding from my past until 4 newcomers offer me a job I can't refuse. My past and future mix. I must once again rise and fight. This time it's not for my freedom, but my happiness. And this one, there's 2 reasons why it's a bit of an acquired taste. One, it's a reverse harem. That's not even really my particular thing, but I don't avoid those books. I don't seek them out, but Kindle recommends them to me, and I'm like, whatever. So it just means she has multiple partners. Actually, reading these types of books, though it's not my like thing I search after, definitely made me a lot more open-minded about just a lot of stuff. Reading has made me a lot more open-minded in general, but basically there's 4 clans. It's the Berserkers, the Worshippers, the Seekers, something else, pretty sure there's 4 clans. Then there's like 2 different groups of like scavengers and something else of people who aren't a part of a clan that just kind of just like roam. Then there's what's it called? There's like a main center that's kind of open to all, like a safe zone type area, I guess, where all 4 clans can meet up, and it's no violence or whatever except for the ring, which I'll get to in a second, and where she currently kind of lives, which is the Rim. And the Rim is like on the outskirts or whatever, where there are people who aren't a part of clans. Everybody at this point, and there's the cities, but the cities are completely separate to this whole part of the world. In like the cities or whatever, like, which is where the guys are from, they don't really know a lot about this world. They're a lot more, they have hard lives because it is the apocalypse, but they're a lot more sheltered, where in this, where she lives and with the clans, it's very like you're always fighting for your life. Only the worst of the worst are alive, like the strongest. when she's like 14, was captured by the Berserker clan leader and held as a slave for years. And it's kind of a like tradition or whatever that when one of the clans decides to dispose of a slave because they're no longer useful or want to punish a slave, they send them to the ring to fight. And so instead of just like killing them or whatever, they make it a spectacle. And basically people either choose to go in the ring to prove their worth by fighting to the death, or and they fight a slave that was chosen to be put in there to either be like punished and killed, to just be disposed of. But there's like a loophole or whatever for if you win 30 fights to the death by like the toughest, chosen people, you're granted freedom. And she's the only one who's ever won in the ring, so that's why she's the champion. She has like scars on her arm, like I think they like give her like a scar or whatever for every kill or something. I don't remember exactly. And now she's kind of a bit of like an assassin for hire type of thing, or just basically is like paid to go out and capture and kill specific people who have whatever her next thing is. Yeah. So, and then these 4 guys show up because she's the only one who has survived the wasteland and is now at the rim. She's the only one. So these 4 guys find her because they want her to take them into the wasteland because they're on search for this place called Paradise, which is a rumor. You don't know if it's a real place or not or whatever. And yeah. And they kind of are just like, I don't know, she helps them out and then they go together at some point. It's pretty good. There's like one of the things that's kind of like him is it depends on, I guess, if you like, it's not really a gory book, but they do kill people and kind of detail in this book. I think one of the first parts of like introduction to her worth, that's her name, it's Tizana, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but everybody calls her Worth. Most people don't know her real name. I think one of her first introductions to her is her literally somebody sits at her table at this bar and tries to hit on her and won't leave her alone, so she cuts their ear off. That's like one of her first introductions to her. Pretty positive. So yeah. Okay. Then I think I'm gonna do another book, maybe 2 other books. So this book, I don't remember it super well, so this one's gonna go kind of quick. But it is by C.P. Writer and it is called Spiked, the Sundance Series Book 1. This is the cover. A telepath with a lethal twist. My name is Neely, and I am a telepath spiker. Not only can I read a person's thoughts, I can also spike deadly power straight into their brain. But don't worry, I have strict rules about that sort of thing. I'm hiding again, this time in a California desert truck stop town run by Lucas Blake. A tiger shifter and alpha leader who's as handsome as Lucifer and twice as slippery. I've been running from alphas like him my whole life. They either want to own me or kill me. There is no middle ground. Now a homicidal alpha from my past is threatening everything I care about, and I know I can't fight him alone. Lucas Blake is dangerous, and his intentions are murky at best, but I've run out of options. If I want to live, I'm going to have to put my faith in a man I know I can't trust. If you like urban fantasy with a side order of romance, fast-paced action, and slow burn love, you'll love Spiked. Okay. This is a supernatural book. Don't really know how to describe it. My phone just said at 10%. I must speed this up. I want to describe it outside of that. Yeah. I think that's actually pretty good. Most of the blurbs are pretty vague. But I think that's a pretty good description of this book. don't really know what else to comment on it because I don't remember it super duper well. Okay, this one is also called Broken, and it's from the Broken Trilogy, book 1, by J.L. Drake. This is the cover. My name is Savannah Miller. My father is the mayor of New York. One day after my 27th birthday, I was grabbed from behind, a cloth sack was quickly pulled over my head, and I was taken from everything I'd ever known. I was beaten, starved, treated like an animal, and forced to live in a room with no windows. With no sense of time and no dignity left, I finally gave up hope and made a promise to myself to end it all. Unfortunately, it was going to be a slow process. Then one night, an elite group of U.S. Army soldiers came to my rescue. I was brought to a safe house and given 2 options. 1. Stay under their protection and follow their rules, or 2. Leave and be guaranteed to be returned to the savages within a week. I chose option 1. As I worked with a therapist and began processing my hellish ordeal, things slowly began to surface. With the help of new friends and a potential new love, I fight to get my life back and make choices that will forever alter my future. This is my story. I actually saw this book in my recommended for a while, and it kind of interests me because I kind of like reading books where the main character, or like the heroine, was, I guess, abused. And that sounds weird, but it's just because I like reading them overcoming their demons. Some books, like, it bothers me when they make it so easy because I just don't find that realistic. But I like when they kind of just learn to like exist with, like, you know, what happened to them and become a new person, because they go on this, it's usually like a path of self-discovery or whatever, basically after a trauma. And a lot of them, not all of them, like not this one, but a lot of them kind of makes them a bit cynical. I really like reading books where the heroine has this cynical perspective, because I kind of have a cynical perspective and I just like relate to that a lot more than some bubbly, happy main character. I kept seeing this though in my recommended for a while, and I didn't read it because the part where the stay under their protection and follow their rules really weirded me out, because it kind of just sounded like a bit weird, like, if you don't follow our rules, we'll, you know, send you out to the wolves type of thing. In this book, I don't remember there being any rules. Like, it sounded weird, like she was gonna be some slave or whatever. Like, you know, if you don't, you know, basically be our mate or something, you know, we're gonna send you out. It weirded me out that there is like these rules. It sounded real weird to me. And then finally I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try it, because Kindle Unlimited is like, if I don't like it, I can drop it so fast, just move on. And I'm glad I ended up reading it, because obviously I ended up really liking it, but I just feel like that shouldn't be in the description. I feel like it's an inaccurate representation of this book, because basically, you know, she's held captive for a while, and the whole book is kind of trying to figure out why she was being held captive, because it's not like they capture her alive. I think it's like, when she's found or whatever, it was like over 6 months or something, which for this group that had her is a very long time. And so they were kind of like, why did they keep her alive if they weren't getting ransom, things like that. And it's just kind of trying to figure out why she was being kept, and then stuff of trying to figure out who was basically a snake, because somebody in the army or whatever is in on it, and then people from her life before had to do with her kidnapping. So it's kind of just trying to figure out, like, fill in the gaps of why she was being held hostage in the first place, why she was held hostage for so long, things like that. Basically she's just taken to a safe house, and they're like, you know, stay here until we can relocate you and, you know, try and get you into witness protection, or because she kept wanting to go and see her family, and they're like, we can't have you go see your family because your dad's the mayor. If you go see your dad, they're gonna find you. and we don't know why you were taken, like why you were held for so long in the first place. So basically it was like, either go to your father and risk your life, or stay here while we figure out your case and get you into witness protection. So I don't know why it said so weird. Maybe I'm like, that statement didn't seem weird to you, the rule thing. It seemed weird to me, just like, but yeah. And then the lead guy of the group or whatever ends up being the romantic interest, but I don't think they get together romantically for a little while, just because she's very traumatized, he's got work. But yeah, okay. I was gonna talk about 2 other books. I'll quickly kind of glance at those real quickly for you guys. Which were just gonna be these 2 books here. This is Horror of the Heart, Tears of the Siren, Book 1 by M. Sinclair. Only 3 books are out. I believe it's supposed to be a 9-book series. The first book out of the series is the best book. The third book kind of is a little boring, I guess. I mean, if it was only 3 books, would have been very disappointed by the third book, but it's going to be a 9-book series, so you can't expect every single one to be some fast-paced, action-packed book. So, yeah, the first book feels weird, I don't know. I'm going to read the blurb. Why can't I speak all? Okay, whatever, is back. 3 years ago, she and her twin disappeared into the middle of the night for LA. Now they are back for their senior year with an infamous reputation for partying, or a penchant for violence, and a plan for avoiding the paparazzi. So why did they leave? What are they hiding now? That is the exact question that Dean, Rhett, Cash, Desmond, and Adriel plan to find out. The biggest question, will they be able to save Lorcan before it's too late? Find out in this emotional roller coaster of pain, love, and healing. This is also a reverse harem. I really like this book, the first book, because I really actually could probably go into a bit more about this world, because I read a few books with sirens. I kind of actually seek out siren books a bit, because I find it's a bit interesting, because it's not like, say, with supernatural books like Werewolf or something, which is, you know, really basic premise. You can't do a lot with it, but sirens are so different in different mythologies and in different supernatural books, that like every author has their own spin, and some are similar and some are so different. This is one of the cases where the sirens in this world are like very different than your typical like siren where like, oh, magical luring voice. This has a lot more to it than that, and it's not even really their singing. It's like she plays the violin, and her violin is like that. She has like, the thing with the siren is that people only see what they want to see when they look at them, and she can sense people's desires and has a compulsion to act out their desires. So if there's somebody that wants or needs to hate somebody, to just fill this gap in their life, they need to hate somebody, she cannot help but be, there's a cat at my door, she can't help but be rude to them, to make them hate her. She needs to fulfill that desire. Of course, throughout the books, that's something she tries to ignore the compulsion of, but things like that. Okay, it's fine. That's so sad. Okay, don't think about it. That's so upsetting. The cat is scratching at the door. She's just like really like doped up on drugs. Also, she can't die. She is trying to die, but she's trying to die. She's trying to kill herself. She can't die no matter what. She thinks like that nobody can love her because of her being a siren. So she thinks that the guys is like friendship with her because she was friends with them as a child. She left when she was 15. She thinks that was like fake or whatever, like they couldn't help but feel have a relationship with her, like friendship with her. And then we end up figuring out that's not true and why that's not true, because of course there's some supernatural reason of why they don't have a compulsion towards her or anything like that, why they're not affected by any of that. Yeah, so that's like this quick thing on that. And then this video's gonna be twice as long than I thought it was. So this is all 3 books in one. This is the Mate Finder series by Leah Stone. I don't remember too much of this one because this was one of the first series I read when I got into reading, but it is a kind of a spin on like werewolves. The complete Mate Finder series. Werewolves facing the threat of extinction desperately seek their mates to bear young. Aurora, a human far removed from the supernatural world, is nearing her own end after being fatally injured in a car accident. Kai, an alpha werewolf, lurks in nearby trees watching her bleed out. He chooses to save her the only way he knows how, by changing her. Aurora struggles with her past as a domestic abuse survivor in the new, dominating and violent lifestyle of a werewolf. No one is prepared for what happens next. The tides turn in favor of the werewolves. The mate finder has been found, and she is more powerful than anybody ever imagined. But is she prepared to be the most hunted werewolf in history? I think that's a pretty good blurb right there. Basically, every werewolf has their own like special power or whatever, some special thing. There's like, it has a lot to do with just werewolves can't have children unless they find their predestined mate. Everybody has one predestined mate. So of course, if you're in the United States and your mate is all the way across the country or whatever, there's a chance you will never meet them and you will be alone for the rest of your life, and things like that. And so that's why the werewolves are slowly going extinct. But she has the power of being the mate finder. So when she touches somebody, she can have a vision of where their mate is in the world and things like that, so they can find them and be together. Of course, Kai is her mate. You find out pretty quickly in the book, but I don't think they really develop anything right away because she's just a bit like, she didn't grow up in this style. Like if all of a sudden you found out that, like, say soulmates were real and there was only one soulmate for you out there, be a little weird. Things like that. I don't really know how to describe it. Not the best series, not the worst series. I really liked it when I read it, but I've read a lot more since then, so I'm pretty sure when I kind of reread some of it, I was like, I still like it, but I don't like it as much as I liked it then because I read so much more and my taste have refined a bit more. But I still think it's pretty good if you like supernatural romance stuff. And she's a pretty badass female character. Like pretty much every single book I read has a badass female character. If they don't, I usually drop them. I like to read what I want to emulate, I guess. So but yeah, so those are all the books that I wanted to show you today. Yeah, and I hope you liked